We have a treat today. We have Monday with Martha. She looks so ravishing today. Look at her, looking all so
Oh, thank you.
professional. And,
Oh, thank you.
and her guest is Mr. Steven Hutchinson. Hope I said that right.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
all
sir, you did.
right. So,
Excellent.
so they're doing. Well, Martha. She's a life coach, counselor, Indian maker, and everything else. She does. She got a lot of hats, and she does a lot of things. And she is really a person that everybody should get to know on a professional basis. Because believe it or not, she does know what she's doing. I listen to her sometimes, and sometimes when I'm listening to her, I look at her that blank face like, and she probably say, "What is he thinking of?" I said, "That's the same thing my wife said." You know, getting it from both sides, sort of like, "Wow, what's going on here?" But anyway, this is Monday with Martha, so I'm gonna turn it over to Martha. Good morning, and good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. I just want to introduce you to Ronald Gordon. This is
Well,
his radio station. He's
all right.
definitely he loved to help businesses. Um, that he's the voice for the voiceless. He's very working with him has been a pleasure. I like to bring on, you know, um, good people to get on his station because I think it definitely is a great platform for what he's doing. And I'm so excited for what God has in store for him in the future. And just wanted to introduce you to him before we get started. And he definitely going to chime in when he's ready. He's definitely going to be our moderator, but he's also going to chime in if he have any questions or if the audience have any questions. If somebody call in, he'll let us know, um, that type of thing. So definitely want to introduce you to him first. And also, I want to introduce uh, Ronald. I want you to meet Steven Hutchinson. He is a tax strategist, also an entrepreneur. His company is Power Tax Limited. I could read his resume, but I'm going to give you a personal view of how I met him. I met him, we were doing a business jumpstart workshop. And she Karen Glass was the person who did the workshop, and we had the privilege of working with her as our consultant. And during the workshop, um, we were paired up, partner, to do the homework assignments and stuff like that. So I kind of um, volunteered him to join our team because I felt he was very articulate. And also, what resonated with me was when he introduced his business. I dealt with a lot of tax people. My clients ask me all the time, like, what do I do? I have to get my taxes done. And they're very stressed around the fact that they have to get their taxes done or they're late getting them done. And sometimes it's hard to, who do you recommend them to or how do they get started, things of that nature. But when I heard Stephen, what intrigued me was when he said this, and this is what stuck with me, and because it resonated with me, is people get their taxes done, but they don't know what's in the paperwork that they're actually submitting. They just want their taxes, they want their return, but don't nobody know what's actually involved in what they're actually receiving, right? And I was like a resonate. I'm one of them. I don't have time for the small little red lines in the tax paper. But it's important to know because, like the Bible say, we are destroyed for our lack of knowledge. And so that resonated with me because you have people who do taxes, then you have people who you could do some people do their own taxes, but what makes the difference is the personal touch. And um so I definitely want to introduce Stephen in that way because I wanted him to get on this platform because I really thought saw the personal touch he can provide to the clients. um he he's from New York City, but he resides in Nashville, Tennessee. He's a professional with a decade of experience, author, and a mentor, as well as a business owner. So I just want to introduce Steve to you. So, Steve, tell us, what do you do and what separates you from tax people who do taxes and tax advisors and that nature?
Yes, thank you very much. Wow, that was I'm inspired by your presentation there. Yes, I think what actually separates us, and it's my benefit to meet you, Mr. Ronald. That's my benefit. And this is a wonderful thing that you're doing. Absolutely, that you are willing to do this and use your time and your energy to broadcast a message, some clarity, some knowledge, some wisdom, and some humor, you know, all
Yes.
of that. So I'm very appreciative of you. And what separates us is our approach to taxes. Because when I started doing taxes, I worked at another company and I saw how things were going on. And I saw how taxes were actually, tax preparers were employees and they approached it like an employee. So the attitude was basically, I'm doing your taxes, but look, ma'am or sir, I just work here. Okay, it's like nothing personal, like I said in the mob, it's nothing personal. It's just this is business. So I saw an opportunity there. I said, well, actually, it doesn't have to be like that. I don't have to treat a person like that. And I decided to start my own company and get my own clients. And I decided that, you know what? No, I'm not going to treat clients like that. As a matter of fact, I'm not only going to do your taxes, but I'm going to answer your questions because that was another issue. Usually, when people go to a preparer, if they ask questions, the preparer kind of like says, well, ma'am, sir, you could call this number or you could ask that person or blah blah blah. But I'm just a preparer. I kind of work here. So I said, no, we'll answer your questions and will explain to you exactly what's going on in your tax return for the purpose of increasing your financial literacy. Because I see and understand that there's a dearth of financial ignorance in our culture and amongst our people that we don't really understand money. And, some people will say, well, that's your opinion, and it is my opinion, but there's a lot of evidence to support that opinion. There's a great deal of evidence. The fact that we, as a people, spend over $1 trillion a year, and yet we own practically no assets, no established major businesses, no industries, no utilities. We don't own land. We don't. So to me, I said, yeah, this is an opportunity. So therefore, shape our company around that principle.
Absolutely. I did. He also has a YouTube channel which you can actually share in the chat. But I saw the financial literacy um video, and I was intrigued by the fact that a lot of things were factual, and a lot of people do think since I don't have a business, I don't need to have financial literacy. Tell us more about the importance of that.
Oh yeah, I think that's a grave mistake right there. That's a great distraction that people think, oh well, this whole thing about financial literacy and understanding money, that's for people who have businesses, investors, all that. And that doesn't have anything to do with me. Just work. I get my paycheck and I'm good. That's a great error because financial literacy means understanding what money is and what is the utility of money. It doesn't matter how you make your money. It doesn't matter whether you're getting retirement income or whether you are working as an employee or whether you are inheriting money. It doesn't matter how you get the money. What matters is that you understand what it is and how to utilize it to your personal benefit, to the benefit of your family, to the benefit of your loved ones, to the benefit of your culture. That you understand that money has a purpose. It's a tool like any other tool. It's simply a tool. And if I don't know how to use the tool, I will not be able to get my desired results. So whether one is an employee or whether one is an entrepreneur or whether one is an investor, one needs financial literacy.
And this is really important to me because if you have a deficit in your financial portfolio, you will have a deficit in other areas like emotional stress, um, even relational. You will have deficits in other areas because it affects other areas. And so, why do you think people stress about taxes?
And, one is because of a fear of the I, the R, and the S. There's just a historical fear behind that. And it's irrational. It's an irrational fear. It's not rational at all because actually fear doesn't help the situation, circumstance. Actually, this it reinforces ignorance. Fear reinforces ignorance. So it
Right.
creates a behavior of avoidance. So we constantly just try to avoid it, or we try to just go through it as quickly as possible without any real understanding of what we're doing. So people fear it because a number of reasons. One, they think maybe they're going to owe. Like, who wants to owe money, right? Even whether you're financially literate or financially illiterate, you don't want to owe. Right?
Right.
That's fundamental, right? That's basic. So one, people don't want to owe. Two, they're afraid they may have done something wrong, and maybe it's going to come up if they, speak to these tax authorities or whatever the case may be. So they have these irrational fears, and they may have had past bad experiences, and probably they've heard a lot of negative things as well. So I think that all feeds into an irrational understanding about our relationship with these different tax entities.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. IRS does put a little
Oh,
fear
yes.
in you when you don't want to get in trouble with the IRS. That's kind of what the message, the overarching message is, right? And the belief system behind it would tell you, depending on how you experienced it, right? And so
Yes.
it would definitely impinge upon and definitely show your level of stress.
But the
Tell us how.
interesting, before you ask me the next question, I was going to say the interesting thing is that avoiding the IRS is really the worst thing to do. The best thing to do is actually communicate with them. If you communicate with them, you will find that they will negotiate. Their agents are there to negotiate your circumstance, whatever the circumstance may be, even if you owe. Because remember, in the US, it is not a crime to owe taxes. You don't go to prison because you owe money. You only would go to prison for tax evasion. That's a completely separate thing. But for not filing a tax return or because you owe the IRS, that those are not crimes. That's negotiable based on your personal situation. So if you can work out a payment plan, they'll work out a payment plan for you. If you have to do some type of negotiation with them to negotiate the amount you pay, you could do that. So the best thing you could do is just be in communication with them. The worst thing you could do is to ignore them and try not to respond because then from their perspective, you are now guilty by default because you're avoiding it. So you must be guilty. As long as you're open in the communication, it puts you in a much a greater position of power to negotiate with them.
You actually answered my next question, which was
All right.
no, you did actually because you really facing your fear, which brings down your anxiety around IRS and taxes by facing your fear by talking to them and getting more educated about it. And so, Can you elaborate on tax invasion? What is that and how does it affect people?
Yeah, I'll give you a brief one. There's two things. There's tax avoidance and there's tax evasion. And the difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion is 20 years in prison. That's the difference. So, so tax avoidance is completely legal. And tax avoidance means that it is your right to find every possible vehicle, um, every possible tax shelter, every possible tax deduction, every possible tax credit to lower your taxes to the minimum. That is perfectly legal. It is perfectly legal to want to lower your taxes. Okay, and there are many different ways in which the IRS incentivizes you to lower your taxes, like owning real estate, being able to deduct depreciation, owning a business, and being able to deduct your expenses before you pay taxes, right? Because if you own a business, you get to use the money in your business and you get to deduct that money. And then whatever's left over, which is your profit, your net, that's what you pay taxes on. So it's there, it's in the tax code. They're saying, go ahead, deduct as much as you possibly legally can, and you're all good. Now, tax evasion, on the other hand, is to falsely hide income. So if I make money, but I'm hiding that income, that's called evasion. If if I'm falsely hiding income, if I'm putting false documentation on my tax return, I'm putting fake, false numbers that are just not true. That's called tax evasion. That's illegal.
Okay.
So to understand the difference between those two is very important. And again, that goes back to financial literacy, understanding tax credits, tax deductions, tax exemptions, right? And there are different types of income. Like the IRS recognizes three types of income. They recognize earned income, portfolio income, and passive income. So as part of financial literacy, we should understand that because the IRS also taxes different income differently. So if you have capital gains, you're going to be taxed differently than if it was earned income that you made on a job, which would be taxed differently if it was rental income from a rental property, right? So there's certain income is taxed differently. So the more we understand that, the more we can maneuver ourselves and our income so that we are paying the least amount of taxes possible, which is perfectly legal.
Okay. Wow. Um, Another question I have, I wanted you to kind of talk about is what is the new Corporate Transparency Act?
Yes, yes. This is taking effect in 2024. It starts January 1st, 2024, and it's called the Corporate Transparency Act. But the interesting thing about the Corporate Transparency Act is that it doesn't affect most corporations. Actually, it affects small businesses. So when I say Corporate Transparency Act, what do you think of? Like, what comes to your mind? This is a Corporate Transparency Act. Who do you think that's going to affect?
It seemed like when I first heard it, it sounded like it's going to affect big businesses,
Thank you.
corporations.
Not the case.
Right.
Not the case. It actually only affects companies that have 25 or less employees, all the way down to 0 employees. It affects companies that make less than $5 million in annual revenue. Okay. And there are a few other exemptions, but the Corporate Transparency Act is going to be manifested through what's called the Beneficial Ownership Information Report, which is a report of the ownership of companies, like who owns the company. And anyone who owns 25% or more of a company now has to uh, provide their information to FinCEN. FinCEN is a branch of the Department of the Treasury. FinCEN, also known as the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Okay, so they're the ones who are enforcing this. And so now every company, every small business, except sole proprietorships, right? So this rule only affects companies that are registered with the state. A sole proprietor does not have to register with the state. To do business in the United States, you do not have to register as an LLC or an S corp or anything. You can just function as an individual, as a sole proprietor. And if you're a sole proprietor, then you're not affected by this ruling either. Okay, so they are exempt. Those are some of the exemptions. Now, what has to be done is this, that you have to fill out this beneficial owner information report to provide who are the owners of the company. So they want to know expressly who are the owners of the company. Now, mind you, the draconian part of this thing is that the penalties are quite severe. Penalties are severe. So it starts in 2024. So any company who violates these rules will be penalized $500 per day.
What?
$500 per day for not filing their documents. So they're just going to count the days 500, 500, 500, 500, or 2 years in federal prison. Okay, and
Wow.
that's again that creates like the anxiety, the stress, and all that, which I think is quite intentional because if you ask me, that is severe. That is quite
That's
severe.
yeah,
And
five
plus,
hundred dollars a day.
yes, $500 per day for neglecting to follow these particular rules that are in place. And basically, the rule is just that you have to file this new document called the Beneficial Ownership Information Report. Okay. And you have a certain amount of time. So all the companies that were started already and that are in business and fit this category, they have to file by December 31st, 2020, and must
Wow.
file this document. So you do have a year to do it, but if you don't do it,
They
penalties are
start
there.
counting. So
Exactly.
December 31st, 2024
Yes.
is when, as a business owner, a small business owner, I will have to file
You have to
that
file by
report.
that date. Yes.
January 1st, 2025. If I haven't, that's $500.
Every day thereafter.
See,
Yes.
Wow.
now I'm gonna chime in on this because I got a serious problem with this right here. Number one, this is the first I heard of it, and number two, how are we gonna get this information out to everybody? It's gonna be a lot of small businesses ran out of business if nobody is educating them. Are we gonna have some forum or what can we have to get the word out?
Okay, so just remember, in the US, ignorance of a law is not a defense, right? So when a law is made, person who goes into the courtroom and says, Your Honor, I did not know that was illegal. They're just going to say, that is not a defense, right? So that is one of the problems with this, because as far as I've understood, this ruling and this analysis has been in place since 2019,
Oh
right?
wow.
It was passed in 2021, And then they informed us in 2023 that it's taking place the following year. So I think that is a lack of, of beauty on their part, but be that as it may, there isn't much we can do about that in retrospect. Now, you could just Google Corporate Transparency Act, right? You can also go to the FinCEN website, which is FINCEN.gov/BOI/small business. All the information is online. The information has been updated in certain companies like LegalZoom and other companies and accounting firms. So it's kind of known right now from the inside of the industry, but most people don't know about it. So that is just a dearth of information, and that's something that we just have to catch up on. As far as any formal forums, I'm sure there are some, but you'd have to just go online and research them. Because this is also being served as an incentive to the accounting industry to now be able to offer this as a new service to create new revenue for accounting firms. Mind you, accounting firms are excluded from this requirement. Accounting firms are excluded. There's a list of exclusions also. If you go to the website, if you go to the FinCEN website and you look up the BOI, you will see there is a list of exemptions, companies that are exempt. Now, we already said, obviously, any company that has more than 25 employees is exempt. Any company that makes more than $5 million in revenue annually is exempt. And then there's a whole nother list of exemptions. There are about 23 exemptions on the website. Basically, just briefly, if I read a few, securities reporting insurers, government authorities, banks, credit unions, nonprofits, money services businesses, brokers or dealers in securities, financial market utility, public utility companies, and where is that? Number 15 is accounting firms. These are all exempt.
So nonprofits don't have to worry about this.
Yes, well, let me clarify that. Tax exempt entities, because you can be nonprofit, but not tax exempt.
Okay, so you got to have 501(c)(3).
501(c)(3),
yeah. Okay.
right.
Now,
501(c)(3).
yeah.
So go ahead. Go ahead,
well,
Rob.
the
Yeah,
point.
501(c)(3). If you have 501(c)(3) status, then you're exempt.
Okay.
Ron is perplexed.
No, I'm perplexed because that little squirrel was running through my brain, and what it's telling me is this is going to hurt a lot of small business in the beginning until they catch up with it. But the key is if they make $5 million or more, they're exempt. Okay, to me,
Yes.
it's a money game. We're going to squeeze the small business to do this right, and they got accountants anyway. I'm looking at me being a business myself. There's enough loopholes we got to jump through to stay in business. And now we got this added on, and that's where Martha's going to come in at, because there's going to be a lot of stress when this come around. and so what I'm saying is they're squeezing the middle man. They're squeezing the small business. Small business is what make this country run. And now they turn around and squeezing whatever they can out of them. How much more is small business going to take?
And here's my question
Yeah.
to you, Stephen. And with the knowledge that locus of knowledge that you have about this, in your opinion, why do you think they're doing this the way they're doing it?
Well, officially, their official reason for doing this is to crack down on illegal operations in the guise of companies, money laundering. What is it? The you know the this buying weapons for illegal activities. That is what their official claim is. Sex trafficking, some of the typical reasons that they give behind needing to monitor people's behavior, their financial behavior. The irony is that these major corporations are exempt. That's the irony, because then the implication is that, oh, so the criminal activities are happening through the smaller companies, through the small entities, and not the larger entities. That seems completely contradictory to me. If you're
Yeah.
looking for major international criminals, I would think you would
It's
be
in
looking in the
the large corporations.
exactly. So that's the irony of it. But that is their rationale, and that is their reasoning. That's what they say.
So,
Okay.
so who passed this bill? Was it Congress? Who came up with this?
Now that I don't know exactly who, but it had to pass through Congress in order for it to be an effective law, and it is being um, enforced by the Department of Treasury, by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, by FinCEN, right? And it is being monitored by the IRS. So I would only assume that all of the due diligence was passed. I think the bill is actually referred to as the Corporate Transparency Act. I think that's the law.
And I must say,
But again, you can research that
yeah,
too
I'm gonna say
to get
how they
clarity.
I'm gonna say exactly how they passed it, because they do this all the time. They had other bills. They put that on that bill, that bill, that bill, and it squeaked by everybody without really noticing. Because if it was a bill by itself, it was up for discussion. It'd have been an uproar. I guarantee you that. But since somebody went on to recommend this, well, if you pass this bill, I want this attached on it. That's how they do it. They don't do one bill at a time. They add 10 in there. It get lost in the shuffle. All of a sudden it's passed, and here we are by December of 2024 to have our ducks in a row. But $500 a day, have they lost their mind?
Yes.
That's that is that I'm the $500 a day definitely throws me, but I think the fact that it's fouling. So let me ask you a question, Stephen. In your line of business and dealing with customers, is this something that you will be doing as you do taxes? Is offering that service as well?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at how we could be able to do that to make sure that our clients have their document filled out each year, because basically it's another document, right? It's another form to fill out. If you just look at it in the most generic way, you're filling out another form. Just have to make sure you understand the information that they're requiring on the form. Because a lot of companies are just they're just single member LLCs, right? So single member LLC, which means there's only one person in the entity, and that one person has to fill out the form and put their information on. And it should be pretty simple. It should not be very complex. It gets a little more complex when there's more than one person and what percentage of the company do they own. And then you have companies that sometimes people have their children's name on the company. So, it gets a little bit more, gray and cloudy. Like, what am I supposed to put my daughter's name on this document? My daughter is underage or whatever the case may be. So there's going to be some, you know, details that have to be addressed and clarified. But in general, it's just a document that we're going to be filling out and putting on the information of the owners who owns the company. What's their name? What's their address? I don't know if they require their social security numbers or not, but they require to know every person who owns 25% or more of the company. IRS wants this document filled out so that they know, okay, this person is part owner in this company, and then whatever other questions that they may have there. But it should be rather simple. And one other note I like to just mention is that for companies that are started in 2024, right, they have to fill out this document within 90 days.
Ooh.
Originally,
Wow.
it was 30 days.
Oh my God.
They said if you start your company in 2024, you got 30 days to fill out this document or the clock starts ticking after 30 days. They went back and they revised that and came back and said, okay, you got 90 days. So if you start a company in 2020, they're giving you 90 days to do the beneficial ownership information report. And then the way I'm seeing it is that, like Ronald said, this is definitely going to stress out a lot of people who, are probably already stressed out, trying to run their businesses. And this is just like another responsibility that's really not going to produce any profit. It's
Right.
not producing any more money for the company. It's just something else I have to do. So, that is there. But then I think for those of us who could pick up, and do this, it's just going to be another document that we fill out during the year. It's going to become a part and parcel of what we do. Oh yeah, did you fill out your beneficial owners information report yet? No, we didn't do that yet, so get that done and like that. So
So,
that's the pretty much the crux of it right now.
okay.
That's where it stands.
So once that paperwork is filled out, and is it done quarterly, semi-annually, or yearly?
As far as I understand, it's going to be annual.
Okay.
It will be at now, but here's the other caveat. If anything changes, then you have to update the report. And I think that's where it's going to trigger a lot of people. So
Man.
in other words, oh, if you change the address of your business, you got to fill it out again. If you change ownership in the business, you got to fill it out again. If you change management, you got to fill it out again. You got to update because this is the Transparency Act. So they want you to be transparent, like who owns it. Well, you didn't tell us that this person owned it. You know, the clock was ticking. So I think that's going to be challenge right there is for business owners to remember every time we make a change in ownership, change in address, or any significant change, we got to fill out this document.
The,
We
the,
got to update.
So you're
Yeah.
remembering to be transparent with the
Yes.
IRS about your
right.
business, basically.
So that means if you hire
Yes.
more employees, you have to do a change too, right?
No, I don't think it's more employees. It's really about ownership.
Okay.
Who owns the
It's
business and
they want to know who owns it. They're not really asking, as far as I know, I haven't seen the actual application, because they're not active until January 1st, but they want to know the owners. That's where the transparency is coming in. Who owns it? Because they're saying that that's where the criminality hides in the background, like they're actually owners and they're transporting weapons or whatever, but they don't really show up as being an owner of the company, because they have a registered agent or whatever the case may be when they set up their companies. So they're implying that this is where a lot of the criminal activity is going on. And these people are actually owners, but they're not transparent. Nobody knows that they actually own it. You see what I'm saying?
interesting.
And what's interesting about it when you said that they got this developed to for you to hire your accountants, they're going to be making the money, and people like Martha's going to be making money because they're going to be stressed. you know, I really think the first year, excuse the expression, is going to be hell for everybody. The small business.
Yeah.
I really think the
Yeah,
first
because
year.
it's gonna be panic. They're gonna be in panic mode. It's enough now to deal with in the world, but they're going to be in panic mode with this act. It could be a good thing for businesses to small to I think it should be across all businesses. That's my opinion, because you can hack criminal activity in large corporations very easy.
And they do it every day.
But people, yeah, you could do that. You can hide through that. But when it comes to, it could be good for small businesses on one end when it comes to like being organized and making sure you got your, like making sure you are financially literate, make sure you are um gaining knowledge about running your business. I could see the benefit in that. Um, However, it can definitely be challenging when you don't understand all of the things you need to run a business. It could be a very great platform for people who are business consultants to teach how to fill out the form.
Yes.
A very good opportunity for a person like yourself, Stephen, when you do taxes, to add that component as a customer service um, component to your business. But
Yes.
because as a tax strategist, let's just get back to what you do, right?
Yeah.
You're a tax strategist. You also an author of a book called Power Thought.
Yes.
You have your own YouTube platform, which is where you use to give people information. Um, you wear a lot of hats in your business as well. My question to you is, tell us about your book Power Thought, because it's an interesting title. Tell us a little bit about that book.
Okay. So power thought is not related to taxes at all. It's no direct relation. But power thought is a book that I wrote for the purpose of provoking people to think for themselves. That is my motive for writing the book. I want to write a book that would provoke people, stimulate people, like challenge people to think for themselves. So in the book, I didn't want to just tell people think for themselves and like tell them how to think for themselves. I didn't want to do that either. So what I did is I compiled a book of over 200 quotes that I created that are meant to stimulate people to think. So some of the quotes are questions, some of the quotes are comments, some of them are provocative in one way or another to stimulate. So it's more like taking a vitamin, right? And then the vitamin stimulates your body. The vitamin itself is just a stimulant to stimulate your body to be strong and to, be able to digest food properly and create all the nutrients and the enzymes and the things that are needed in the body. So that's the purpose of power thought. Power thought is meant to provoke people. The other idea behind Power Thought is that I wanted to write a book for people who don't like reading books. So I had a conversation with a young college student who was and he was going to an Ivy League college, Villanova University. And he made a statement to me that kind of stuck with me. He said, whenever I open a book and see a paragraph, I get sleepy. So like, this guy's in Villanova University, and when he opens one of his books and sees a paragraph, he actually gets tired and sleepy. It doesn't motivate him. So I thought, in my book, there's not going to be any block paragraphs that are going to put people to sleep. It's just going to be isolated statements with spaces in between them, so people could just take a bite, take a take a thought snack and just chew on that, move on with their activities and move on with their day. And that's basically what I did. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's power thought.
Okay. It's giving your brain that exercise and that brain stimulation muscle, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And we're doing a we're doing a marketing experiment where people can download the book for any, they can download the ebook for any price they want. So
So you
that's our like
volunteer, you actually
marketing.
donating toward the book.
Yes, but you're not, it's not a charity. It's just that as the publisher of the book, I'm just telling people that you can purchase this product for any price you want. You
Oh
set the
wow.
price.
Interesting.
I like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting too. So the platform that I'm on, they offered that service. I said, yeah, well, let me try that. I think that's a interesting,
Okay.
it's very unique marketing
It's a very unique
strategy,
marketing strategy.
right?
Tell me,
Because
you
then
got
it
to
kind of,
tell me how that you got to tell me how that turned out.
yes, I'm doing that now. I'm working on that now.
Yeah.
I'll let you
So
know.
so talk to me about talk to us about person come to you as a client. What is your onboarding process?
Onboarding process is first to understand whether the person is an employee or if they're self-employed, right? Because that's going to determine the line of questioning. If they are an employee, then we have a certain line of questioning and a certain analysis that we'll do, and we want to find out what is your what you call your pain point. What is your anxiety in your tax situation? Because we want to address that. We don't want to be generic that, okay, we're going to do your tax return. Yes, of course, we're going to do your tax return, but what type of results are you looking for? What is it? So some people are looking for, well, I want a big refund. Some people are like that. Some people are saying, well, I just want to break even. Okay, I don't want to owe. I don't care about them, getting a refund. I just don't want to owe. And some people are, I just want to decrease the amount of taxes that I'm paying. So I think in order to provide a valuable service to someone, you need to know what they want first. Don't assume that you know, because I don't know. I don't know what it is that you're trying to do. So once you express that to us, then that's where the strategy comes in. Now we can start working out a strategy to help you reach that goal, whatever that goal is. It will be the same if a person's an entrepreneur. What's your goal? What are you trying to do? What is your pain point? What's your discomfort? What level of comfort are you trying to reach? What goals are you trying to reach? Because no two people are going to have the exact same objectives. Some people may be entrepreneurs who don't want to pay a whole lot of taxes, but they're trying to buy a house. Well, if you want to buy a house, you have to show income. You cannot not show income and qualify for a mortgage. If you're going to qualify for a mortgage, you have to show income. If you show income, you have to pay taxes. So, things like that, we have to be able to explain to them and express so that they can make the decision. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I'm not comfortable with. Okay, I could take it gradually, or do I just want to, I don't care, I'm willing, I'll pay it all, and, I want to dive in. And in that way, we are taking the tax business to a personal level so that it's not just generic. It's not like a factory where you just come in, throw your papers in front of us. Here's your result. You look at it, you either smile or you cry, you pay me, and you leave. Right? So we're trying to add a methodology to it, right? A methodology and some technology, because we're actually, our objective is to move towards us being a tech company, not just a tax company. Because of the introduction of AI, a lot of white collar positions and other type of positions are going to pretty much be phased out. because AI is going to be able to do a lot of the repetitious things like instantly. So like data entry, AI is going to be able to do data entry without needing a human being to do data entry. So, all of us who do data entry, that position, it has a timer on it because AI will be able, if you could just upload a document and AI could just take all the information and just put it in its appropriate places, data entry done, right? So we want to connect what we're doing with our idea of personalization with some type of STEM or STEAM projects to start to include data analysis, to start to include um, research and development to our company so that we can launch into the world of artificial intelligence as well and into tech. So we're not just a tax company that could be virtually eliminated, if AI can adjust and do what we're doing. So we want to be able to do something that AI can't do to protect our interests.
What do you do with a client who don't know what they want? You have people, like some people don't know the lingo of, I want to decrease my taxes. Nobody ever really, the layperson never taught tax language, right? But what if you have a client that comes to you that don't know exactly what they want because they're not as knowledgeable about because what you're offering is customer focus driven, but you have people who don't know about who
In a
come to
case
you.
like that,
They really don't know what they want. I'm sure
yeah,
you have experienced that, right?
yeah. In a case like that, it's still is our duty to inform them. They need to be informed of their options because a lot of people don't know they have options. And options is where your power is. Options give you freedom, give you independence. You do have options. So we would probably focus on that, informing. The person is probably lacking a lot of information. So we would focus on informing that person of the different options that they have and allow them to choose. Because I think it's important that a person makes their own bed because they have to sleep in it. So they need to make a decision because also we are just executing your will. We're trying to help you reach your goal. If you don't have a goal, then we'll provide you with some options and then you can
Okay.
choose. You can choose and then we can execute from there. But I wouldn't, we don't want to take the position that we're doing it and you don't really have anything to do with it. No,
Right,
because
right.
you have to sign the tax return also. Our signature goes on there, but your signature also goes on there. So if you're going to sign that, which you have to, you need to know what it is you're signing on for. You don't want to sign it and then you get the results. You're like, no, I don't like this or I don't want that. No. And just on another note, not really related, but there are unscrupulous tax preparers and unscrupulous accountants who put things on people's tax returns that the people had no idea that they were there,
I'm sure.
right? And when they get the big refund, they're just happy that they got this big refund, but they don't realize that I put a fictitious business on your tax return. You don't know because you don't even look at it, right? I'm putting all these things on your tax return, and now you're getting this wonderful result. So we want to eliminate that. No, we
Oh,
want you to
wow.
know. You should know what's on there and approve of it.
I agree. You are definitely right. See, that's what sets you apart for what you do and what others do is you're educating, also empowering, and that's a good thing. Uh,
Exactly. And as a result, we have to slow the process down. right? We can't, we're not the speed mill. We're not the ones that if you want everything done really quick, we're probably like really not suitable for you. You probably should go to one of the mills that like spit out those tax returns like that, because that's not our system. Our system is to answer your questions, to clarify things, to inform, which is different because that's not how tax companies are. That's not how they function. That's not how they function on speed and quantity. It's like get
Right.
as many done as
As
possible
you
because
can.
that's how they make money. Their focus is on that bottom line, so it's the quantity. So we're disrupting that in that we're saying, yeah, we understand the quantity, but we want the quality too. So our bottom line may be less than if we were to just push it forward, but I think it's worth it. I think longevity, that will give us longevity. We may not have the huge profit margins because we're not, just pushing them through, but I think we'll have the longevity and actually serve a valuable service and ultimately even make more money that way.
Absolutely. What about you? So you have an app that tell us more
Yes.
about the app that goes along with that.
Yes. So we aligned ourselves with a company called Tax Pro. And Tax Pro uses as a technology whereby those who use their software have an option of having a generic or branded app, which our clients can download onto their phones. So once they download our app onto their phone, they can just upload their digital documents right into the app. They don't have to come, they don't even have to come to the office. They can just upload their documents onto the app. Once they upload their documents, we have access to the documents. We can see the documents. We can then communicate with them by phone or by Zoom or FaceTime or whatever way. We can then communicate with them that we receive their documents and we can explain to them what's going on with their documents. And they can express to us, okay, this is what happened last year, but this is what, I need, or this is what I want, this is what I'm waiting for, this is what I'm doing. And we can move smoothly. So we thought that that would make things a lot easier for our clients.
Okay.
They don't have to wait in no lines. They don't even have to set an appointment, really. They can just you got your documents, upload the documents. We can start looking at them. And so then we also, as far as signatures are concerned, we get digital signatures because we as tax professionals are not allowed to electronically file a person's tax return without their permission, without their signature. So we don't do that because that's a violation. So we then get digital signatures. So they can even sign like using their phone. So they can continue doing their thing and focusing on what they're trying to get accomplished and get their tax return done and communicate with their tax pro at the same time and get it done. And then we send them an electronic copy of their tax return.
Okay. So Ron, did you have any questions or did you get any questions or comments or
Oh, you know I always have questions. I always have questions. I got this one question that you have a business and you're struggling with it, and the end of the year come around, you using your own money to have that business going. How do you go about filing from separate with your personal to your business filing with the IRS? Where do you take a loss at?
Okay, so technically speaking, if you have an LLC, from the perspective of the IRS, the LLC or the limited liability company is a pass-through entity, also known as a disregarded entity. So the IRS does not view, for tax purposes, your business income or your business loss as separate. It's passed through. It just All that information is going to be put on what's called a Schedule C or a profit and loss statement. It's going to have your business income, your business expenses. Your business expenses will be deducted from your business income. Whatever that result is, whether it is a profit or a loss, it's just going to move right onto your personal tax return. It's not really two different tax returns. It's not a business return and a personal return. It's really just a personal return with business income added or
Okay.
subtracted, depending on whether you have a loss or a gain in your business.
Okay.
Now, if you have an S corp or if you have a partnership or a C corporation, you're going to have a separate tax return. Even though S corps are also, excuse me, they're passed through. It's going to just pass through onto your personal tax return, and excuse me, and a partnership is also going to pass on to your tax return. But you have other forms. You have a 1065 if you have a partnership. You have an 1120S if you have an S corp. But they are also passed through. Whether you had a profit or a loss is going to pass through onto your personal tax return.
Okay.
The only distinction comes if you have a C corp. If you have a C corporation, it's two separate tax returns.
Okay. I like that answer.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah,
It's
it makes a
like,
lot of sense because I have people, me myself included, that we do things like that, and we were talking the other day, man, how we do our taxes and everything. So, my next question is, are you gonna have a seminar on this new deal that's coming out in 2024?
I have not had a plan on having a seminar. No, I have not.
Okay.
I was going to upload a YouTube video addressing it. But I mean, if
I think a
someone wanted
seminar
me
would be
to,
amazing.
well, that's an interesting consideration. I mean, if I have some co-op cooperation with others to do a seminar, I would gladly do it.
Now,
Gladly do it.
when you say you're gonna upload something, let me know when you do it, so I can share it to
Okay.
everybody else to get the word out. Because I'm not being, I don't even know the word to use, but a lot of people are just like you said. Sometimes they don't look, and it's right there in front of them, and they always say, "Well, nobody told me about it," which goes to my next question: is the government planning on sending things out to all these small business, let them know this was going on that you know of?
Mhm. I haven't received anything. I mean, I just found out about it online, and one of my associates told me about it.
Wow.
In the power tax company, she sent the document to me. Then I looked into it, and then I saw it popping up all over social media, with different accountants and tax attorneys, and everybody's talking about it now. It's like a heated thing now. They're talking about, oh, this Corporate Transparency Act. Then they're also
Yeah.
talking about, like, what happened? Why they wait so late? If it's affecting us in 2024, why are we just finding out about it? Why is it just so that seems to be intentional to me as well, because this we could have been having this conversation 2 years ago, right? And be prepared now for it. But
Yeah.
that's bureaucracy, right? We know the effects of a bureaucracy. Things happen and we get blindsided.
Yes.
So we have to recoup. We got to recoup and work amongst ourselves and educate ourselves. So if you would like to do a seminar, I would definitely be willing to participate. So I am going to upload the YouTube video, and I'll let you know
Okay.
when I do that.
Yeah, I'm like Ron. I was kind of like thrown back a little bit too because this is information you just don't get every day.
Yes.
So I'm glad that we were able to interview you today. Uh, for your expertise as well as information, because Ron deal with that's what comes through his platform is small businesses. So it's great that we have this education for that, because
Yeah.
as a small business owner myself, $500 a day, I'm not trying to pay that. And it'd be a shame not to know, like you said, it is up to me as a small business owner, but that information is just not accessible. And sometimes that's why a lot of people say, you may think she's a health coach, a mental health counselor and a health coach. Why would she interview a tax person? Because as a life coach, I have several people that run through my office, and they need help, and
Yeah.
not just not just the mental health part, but there are parts that affect mental health, like financial, environmental, social. All of these things affect your mental health. And so I want to have someone I can refer my clients to when they have when they need that help, the financial literacy, where I have someone that I trust that is going to be a resource for them to get the help they need, because that's not where I'm an expert in, right? And so I'm not trying to be um I'm not trying to have a hand in everything, because the world is too big for me to service. I'm not trying to service the world or play God, but there's so many, like the Bible say, we many parts of one body. I ain't trying to be a hand, eyes, and feet and all that. I just want to do what I do and operate in my area, but pass off to the next person. But especially like Ron has this platform. I want someone who's going to bring value to that as well. Because I'm not his business partner, but I am a part of his journey, and I'm a part of your journey now. And so I don't want to just, you know, oh, here's this person, but they bring no value.
Yeah.
um, I want my clients to get valuable services, because I have people that come across that say that do need that financial literacy component. They do need tax services. They need to be educated. I'm one of them that needs to be educated in taxes, because especially with this new law,
Right.
you know.
Absolutely.
I don't want to pay a penalty for something that I could have gotten educated about. That's why the Bible say our people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge. We really have to
Hmm.
start reaching out and finding out who is who, so we can get the knowledge. That we're missing out on knowledge when we don't come to each other as for businesses. For
Right.
We don't collaborate. We miss out on valuable information and gifts and giftings that are out here in the world. So I thank you for coming on the platform today and educating us, and especially the small businesses that run through Ron's platform. I hope that this was beneficial for them as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And anytime that you would like for me to come on to speak to any of your uh, business owners, just let me know. Just let me know. And I think this is a an example of where our real power is, that our power is in us networking with each other and
Yes.
realizing the qualities and the benefits and the value that each of us have, that none of us are islands. None of us can carry this thing alone.
No.
Life is a social activity, We need each other,
Yes.
right? Just
Yes.
like you say, it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah, and there have to be children to raise the village.
Yep.
So it goes both ways. We need each other. And the more
Yeah.
that we can network with each other, the greater we're all going to benefit. We're all going to
Exactly.
benefit. Everybody can benefit. That's, it's kind of contradictory in a capitalist system where it's like It seems like everything's based on competition, so I got to outdo. I think that's an antiquated concept. No, we don't. We don't have to outdo each other. We have to complement each
each
other,
other.
not outdo
Yes,
each other, but complement
exactly.
each other. That's going to be, oh, to me, that's the revolution right there.
I agree
Revolution
with
is
you on that.
Yes.
let's stop competing and let's start creating with each other.
Yes.
Hey, you answered my one question before I even asked it. I was gonna ask, can you come back on the show? You already said you'd be back, and yeah, we're gonna need you. Trust me, we're gonna need you down the line. And I like to get you on as early as the end of January back on to see if how many small business receive any paperwork. Because I want to see what's
Okay.
going on. Because if they don't send it out until November, boy, we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Yes, that's
So,
right.
So yeah, so
That's
I'll
right.
definitely I'll send Ron your information so you guys can
Okay.
collaborate.
okay.
And thank you so much for coming on. I don't know if Ron has any last questions. I guess you can kind of leave your information. Tell the people how they can reach you.
Absolutely. You can reach me. You can actually just call our hotline. Our number is 610-955-6508. That is 610-955-6508. You can also reach us through our website, which is powertax.com. That's tax with two X's, not three, two. Powertax.com. You can reach us there. You can also find our YouTube channel. It's called The Money Class Channel on YouTube, The Money Class Channel. Thank you.
All right, I got a funny feeling your hotline is going to be going off as next year go by. you know,
I think so.
you want to change that to the bat
It's gonna
phone or
be hot.
something,
That
because
line will be hot.
Oh
we.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, Martha. Thank you for bringing Stephen on. He educated me by this new thing. I did not know anything about it, but now that I'm educated on that, my job now is to push it out to everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
They're gonna be just as perplexed as we were.
yeah, they're gonna ask me questions. I say, call this hotline. That's what I was.
Right.
I'm not answering anything. Call the hotline. But it was, this was very educational, not only for me, for all the other listeners out there who's listening. And like for all the shows that I do, the questions come in after the show is over with. I don't know why they're scared to call in during the show, but I'll get bombarded and I see it coming. So we'll be, I'm looking in January, having you back again sometime in January. And I want to see how many people are really receiving the information.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Just let me know.
Okay. Well, y'all take
Well,
care.
thank you.
I
All
appreciate
right.
it. Martha, you keep on doing what you're doing. And Stephen, I'll be talking to you down the line.